Let's look at some application in business and economics. So your aunt established a trust fund that pays $2,000 a year for 10 years. Nice aunt, huh? Wish it was my aunt. The total amount received at the end of 10 years, how would you find that? Well, you'd take 10 years times the $2,000 and you'd get $20,000. So if we assume that the income stream is continuous, okay, so that she just keeps putting this in continuously, then I could find any time the income here. So I could take, if I'm at time a fourth of 10 years, okay, I could get the income. I could find at a half. I could find, of course, after 1 year, which would make sense, would be the $2,000 that she's putting in. And then, of course, I could see at the end of 10 years, if this is continuous, and again, looking at this area underneath here, you can see what I'm doing is the rate is this line up top, and then I'm finding the area underneath this rectangle. So it's showing if this is continuous, then the total income over a 10-year period is just simply the area of this graph, which we said we know how to find area with our antiderivative. I get 2000t and I evaluate it from 10 to 0, which would be my $20,000. So it works. So if we can assume that we have a continuous income stream here, okay, if we can assume that, then we can simply use our integration that we've learned about how to find area underneath the curve. So it says the rate of change of the income produced by a vending machine is given by this function, where t is the time in years since the installation of the machine. Find the total income produced by the machine during the first 5 years. So in other words, that means from 0 to 5. So we're looking at the area underneath this graph. So we already know how to do that. Remember I mentioned that there was a shortcut way of doing this with the 1 over k e to the kt, that you don't have to use substitution. So now I simply plug in, I evaluate this at 5 and I evaluate it at 0. And I get 2525, which says the vending machine produces a total income of $2,525 during the first 5 years of operation. So apparently if you go in the vending machine business, you're not going to make very much money, or at least this one's not making much money. So the total income for a continuous income stream is found by, we're assuming continuity. For example, our vending machine collecting money daily. If I'm looking at a future value of a continuous income stream, what changes here is now I actually have a rate. So if f of t, and meaning rate and interest rate, if f of t is the rate of flow of a continuous income stream, okay, from 0 to however many years, and if the income stream is continuously invested at an interest rate, okay, it's kind of play of words here because this is talking about a derivative rate where this is talking about my interest rate. It's compounded continuously, then the future value is given by this formula. Now this first one's kind of messy, and all we did here was went ahead and distributed this e to the r times big T, and so that goes there because that's just a constant, and then e to the minus rt, which is right here. So you'll probably find this formula a little bit more friendlier. And so the future value of a continuous income stream is the total value of all money produced by the continuous income stream. In other words, it's income plus interest at the end of so many years. So your aunt, so nicely again, $2,000 a year for 10 years. The difference now is she puts it in an account that actually pays compound interest, continuous compound interest at 8%. and we want to see what is the future value at the end of 10 years. So here's my formula. I plug in all my pieces. So my interest rate, R, is 8%, so that gets plugged in. Big T is at the end, so at the end of 10 years, 10 gets plugged in. Little t is actually my variable of integration. So you leave that one, you don't plug anything in. And so now I take this, I find the antiderivative. So all I've done here is this piece, I've multiplied these two pieces out. Okay, after I find my antiderivative, I'm going to evaluate it from 0 to 10. Okay, so that's all that I have going on here. I plug in I went ahead and just put this out front because it's a constant. I plug in 10 and I plug in 0 and I get 30,639, which is better than the $20,000 because now you're actually earning interest.